So welcome, guys. This is math. We've got your number. These are a series of different number talk routines that we're going to be doing. And this time today, we're going to be doing one on quick images. My name is Jennifer Sears. I'm the one on the right of the screen. And this is Tammy Gaudette. And we are both elementary K-5 math specialists within curriculum and instruction. And we're very excited to provide this routine for you because it's a great routine that you can do right away in your classroom the next day if you wish. So we'd like, if for some of your participation, we'd like you guys to participate in this today. So we're going to ask you if you could, in the chat, respond to that question. What number sense routines have you tried this year with your students? Just to give us kind of an idea of what you guys are doing in the classroom. Or maybe ones that you've seen if you haven't tried one. It could be ones you've seen, ones you've tried, or ones you've heard about and you're really wanting to try, could be. And also feel free to unmute. We're all a tight little family here right now. I'm seeing counting forward from 1 to 20, and that sounds about right since 1 to 120 since you're in second grade. And then number frames is something that Tammy's been working on. And I can say we've been working on a lot of number frames and structuring with we have math recovery kiddos that we work on that today. So it's good to know. Oh, also skip counting. Yes, definitely. That's very important at that second grade age level as well. All right, so thanks for giving us that information. I'm going to have Tammy get started now, and she's going to introduce how to do quick images or dot talks in our online classroom.
So today what I'm going to demo is a quick image. It's very similar to a dot talk, except for you're flashing it at them versus the whole time being visible. So during the first flash, students will think about how many symbols there are. The two examples I'm going to do with you today are with dots. So you can use that, or it could be any type of symbol. And then as they're doing that, what I would suggest for the kids is either to record by drawing what they see or building an image versus just saying the answer or thinking of the answer, because it helps them visualize what's going on there. And then what will happen is we'll do a second flash. And students confirm. If they're correct, then what they do is they just put a check mark and they double check to make sure they still have the pattern that they want and the number, or they revise their ideas. So if they notice like, oh no, I forgot a dot, they can add in a dot or add in a cluster of dots if they need to. And then last but not least, what we'll do is I'll ask for what did everyone come up with? How many dots were there? You'll go ahead and I have the kids can either put it in the chat or you can have volunteers unmute and talk. So then they can just talk about that. Then what happens is I'm going to ask for strategies. How did you see it? How did you see the dots and the patterns that you're noticing to help you get your total? All right. So on this slide, if you click on it right here, it will take you to a Jamboard. So I'll give you a chance to go ahead and click in there and join me on the Jamboard. And what we'll do is we're actually going to get straight into it and do a dot talk together. All right. So lucky you guys get to experience this. I always think it's so much fun doing math. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show it to you. So right now, if you could have a piece of paper or something quick to write it with and on, it will be helpful. So I'll give you a second to do that. I love my sticky notes since I have that right next to me and I can write it right on there. Okay. All right. Let me know if you're not ready. Okay, Jose's ready. All right. Okay, great. So here, I'm going to flash it. All right. So normally you flash it for 1 to 2 seconds, not long. It's not one of those ones where you hold it for a long time. So I did it about a second. Sometimes people, when they're flashing, like you can tell I'm doing it in the picture because I do it with my kiddo versus this way, is you just go, you bring it in, 1, 2, bring it out. So knowing that, draw what you saw. And really, the question's always going to be, how many dots did you see? So don't do anything. Oh, Jose, I'll flash it again. All right. So don't put the answer in there yet, because remember, I'm going to do a second flash. What they're doing now is they're drawing it. So just draw what you saw. And then I'm going to flash it again. And what you'll do is you'll go ahead and confirm or revise. So I'm going to flash it one more time. All right, take a second, make sure you have the number of dots. And what I'd like you to do is go ahead and put it in the chat how many dots you thought we had there. Yeah, Jose, thank you for being more descriptive with the red dots. All right, and then last but not least, we're going to reveal. And we're going to go ahead and talk about the different ways we saw this. If you have older kids, you can actually have the kids get on and start talking about it. And then other kids, if they having an issue, you can go ahead and write it yourself. I'm one of those ones where I'll probably do it this way. So we had 8. What were the ways that you guys saw the 8? Can you guys go ahead and unmute and explain how you saw it?
Well, since we're using the 10 frame, I just noticed that there were 2 blank spaces, so 10 minus 2 is 8.
Okay.
I was a little bit more primitive. I just counted in 2s, so I was just boom, boom counting. Yeah, but
okay.
The other strategy, Marisela's strategy is a little bit smarter. Yes.
No, not one strategy is smarter than the other. What this is Remy is just thinking about how we all saw it differently. And there's no good or bad the way we saw it. So you saw how many groups? So you saw 4 groups of 2?
Yes.
Ooh, I am not the best writer here. 4 groups.
I was just going to have him do 2 plus 2 plus 2. That's what I was saying. The 2 plus 2 plus 2. But mine's kind of the opposite of the way he saw it. I saw 2 groups of 4, so I thought of the doubles of 4 and 4.
Mm-hmm. All right. So let me do 4 plus 4.
And I like how you're color coding them each because it's the different colors to the strategies.
And actually, I saw it as 4 plus 4, 2 groups of 4 is how I saw it. All right, so that is our first one. And there is different ways people could have seen it. But really what we're looking for to help the kids notice the different patterns throughout it. So a 10 frame beautifully sets it up for different patterns. We could use a 5 frame, you can use a 20 frame, whatever you want, it depending on how you're working with your kiddos and what number. My next one is for actually older kiddos, more 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders.
Can I chime in really quick? I know that 10 frame and the 5 frame is a good one, but I was just thinking, I think we could use a Rec and Rec too. You could use like a number rack or Rec and Rec, with the different colored beads. I think that would work too as well.
Do a picture of one versus a real one. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Either a picture of one, or when you just said that, I just thought about an image too. You could do an actual image of something with this too as well. Like let's say you had an image of eggs in a carton. That reminded me of it. So something of that of nature too. I don't know if that would work on there.
It would. And a Rec and Rec, the only reason I asked about in person, like a live one versus an image of one, is in a live one, you can't show like what we did here with showing the different thought processes.
Gotcha.
So if you had a picture of one, say that said 16, you can talk about the 5 and 5 reds, the 5 and 1 whites, so stuff like that. And you could show it on there. So there's a visual, there's an anchor of it.
I like that. Thank you for clarifying that.
All right, so this next one, I'm going to reveal for 2 seconds. This one you're going to need to probably draw it. I'll be honest, you're not going to get it right away. At least I didn't when I did it to myself. All right, here we go.
Oh, okay.
All right. Okay, I even made this, and now I can't remember how many were on there. So I'm going to even myself have to double check this.
I remember the spatial pattern. So that's what I was looking at. But then I had to think about what was in there.
All right. So go ahead, and I've written stuff on my sticky notes. And I have to check something, so I know I'm going to have to revise, not confirm. All right. So here we go. I'm going to reveal again. All right. I did need to confirm that. Okay, I have mine. So, all right, now the next step is for us to put in the chat how many dots were there. So, okay. Yep, this one is definitely harder. This one is for the older kids. It's to help with multiplication. So most of us, we said about 56. So let's go ahead and reveal. And let's talk about our strategies on how we, oh, I can see skip counting. Oh, I didn't see skip counting. Yeah, you're totally right. You could have done skip counting. How did people see this one?
So the first time you flashed it, I looked only at 1 to try to figure out how many dots were in 1. So I figured that out fairly quickly, but I didn't get to see the other, how many of the dominoes they were. So once I figured out how many dots were in each one, and then you flashed it the second time, I was able to see the bigger picture. So then I noticed that it was 8. So I just multiplied 7 times 8 is 56.
Okay. Jose, did you look at it differently?
Very similar to Marisela. The first thing I did was to try to take a picture in my mind of all the squares, and then I was still able to look at to focus on the dots, and then I started to draw it right away, because if not, I know I would forget. But yeah, I was kind of trying to use my photographic memory.
Photographic memory, awesome. So you kind of looked at the whole then, is what you were saying? You were looking at the whole, and then you narrowed down what was in each specific one?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
And I use the whole as a, like I said before, a spatial pattern. So like trying to remember the pattern first, sort of like that picture in my brain, that photographic memory. And then I had to go back and actually remember what was in there. Because when you first flashed it, I think I remembered the amount of dots that were in there, but I had to connect the two to confirm that I actually saw the right thing.
Yeah, and when I was doing this, maybe I was doing it really wonky, but like I saw this one, and I saw that there were 3 here, 2 here, and 3 here. Mm-hmm. And if you look at mine, I like really did it wonky. Because I even said, well, then I know it's 21 here, 21. And so like I really broke it apart, like 3 times 7, 2 times 7, 3 times 7. And so that's the way I saw it. I didn't even think to do the total of 8 and do 7 times 8 when I did mine.
I almost was thinking that 8 was 9 first without that center one. That's the first thing that popped into my head, was that it was almost like a 9 because there wasn't that one in there. But that's what helped me recognize that it was an 8 spatial pattern, was because I did not see the 9 one in there, the complete row.
So this is another example of a quick image. I was going to say a dot talk, which it is a dot talk. And it's just way of looking at spatial patterns and how that can help them with math. So that's where Jen was bringing in, like you could do many different things besides just dots. Dots is just a good example to start with. to give you guys an idea, they have dot patterns that would help you with supertizing as well as all the way to fractions. So there's many dots out there. Just giving you guys a heads up. So those were the 2 example I had. I had a few more, but I'll leave you at just the 2. So we're asking at all of ours because we know that tomorrow probably a big decision is going to be made, but we want to make sure that some of us have been thinking about it and preparing for it. So the first thing we always ask is how we taught this exactly as a digital setting, digital learning setting. How could we adapt this to do for hybrid?
I am thinking that if we were able to practice this strategy for a couple of days with our kids, I mean, we could pair up, some of our kids, one in the classroom, one at home, and, let them play, with that. One at home could be the one, taking turns, one at home could be flashing the image and then taking turns with the other student in the classroom. So I think that, that game component that this strategy has, I think it's very engaging, and that would, it would allow for the teacher to let those students working on their own without any worries. I think they would get very, very engaged.
Yeah, because when Jen and I were talking, we were talking in a small group. If a teacher had set up like, say, a Jamboard and said group 1 had slide 1, and they had to pick one person who would be the revealer, and the other kids, and at the same time, everyone was trying to figure it out that they could do it that way. And hybrid, Jen also had some asynchronous ideas.
Yeah, I was thinking about having them be able to send some of this stuff, maybe home and playing like sort of like a memory game with it, similar to that memory or concentration, where you could have, spatial patterns. You might have dots on the 10 frame or the 5 frame, or you could even have finger patterns that the kids are, kind of playing, and it's another continuation of what you've been doing in class, but then now they're taking that back to memory and trying to, maybe add them to a complement of 10, or just identify the 2 together, based on like, does this finger pattern match the number that I saw within the 5 frame? Or you could do a lot of different things and variations on it to have the kids practicing as well at home, and then come back and play a game with it synchronously to see if they were actually doing it. So that was kind of one of my thoughts. But connecting the partners, that's a good idea with at the home and the kids that are in person and at home still learning. That's a great idea.
All right, you guys. So this one question just is for Jen and I, for our continued planning purposes. If there is another number sense routine out there that you've been you normally use, and you're trying to think of some ways that maybe we could do it either online or hybrid, if you would give us, just plop it in the chat, because that's one thing we're trying to do, is come up with more number sense activities that we could use for our next couple of trainings. So if you think of anything, just pop it in there. Let me come back over here. Sorry. There we go.
All right, and so we'll go ahead and we'll include, you guys have it in your slide presentation, but we are doing more of these. Just to let you know, we are having another one this week, February 18th, so that's Thursday at 8 a.m. Join us for that one. I do believe it's Which One Doesn't Belong? So if you're always wondering how to do which one doesn't belong, that's a great little number sense routine. It has many applications beyond math as well, but we're going to really be highlighting it, the idea of doing it in math. So we hope you can join us for that too. If you do miss any of our sessions, we're putting them on the playlist. But you can also see that the Google Meet will be the same Meet code that you were in today. So if you want to add that on your calendar, so that you have that as well. And thanks, Maricela said the making 10 strategy as a thought for kind of talking in and combining in with the number talk. All right, so really quick before we go ahead, and we're going to be going on slide 8, which is kind of your takeaways for today's session. And we like to know that you've got something that you could use out of today's session. We're going to be giving you on the very next slide actual activities that you could take forth and use in your classroom the next day. But if you could really quick, just give us an idea of what's something that you're going to take away from today's session.
I really like the dot pattern for the upper grades. In most of the trainings that I've been to, they usually target that, with kinder, first grade, second grade. But then looking at the big pattern, it's like you can also modify it for the upper grades. So I thought that was really cool.
The more I think about it, I mean, Tammy and I were talking about decimals even today, and I'm thinking, wow, I could probably even like model that with like a version of like on the base 10 blocks with, a portion of the 100 where I could model it with the frames, not the frames, but thinking about it, the number in a decimal sense, like how much of a number did I flash on there within the base 10 blocks? I don't know, but the ideas are endless.
Yeah, I agree.
So we're on slide 9 right now, and I'm just gonna, there is a link right there inside of the Make and Take that if you kind of hover over it, Tammy's gonna show, well, I guess she just showed that you got into there, but if you hover over it, there'll be a folder that you can go into. And inside that folder, we already have ready-made resources for you guys to tap into, but let me kind of explain really quickly what's in this folder, and then our last few minutes will really be just answering any questions for you. But the very first one that has a number 1 in front of it, that's the actual like directions. How does this work? How would you get about doing this, and what would you necessarily do? You got to see the demo. This gives you more of a written format of how you will do that. Number 2 is just with the template that we used. And so it kind of gives you, if you're introducing it in Google Slides to your kids, it introduces like what you're going to do, sort of that first flash, what the students are going to draw or see, that confirm, and then the sharing of the strategies. The third one is actual examples. So you see K through 5 examples. Maricela, you're in 2nd grade. You could go into and see examples that might be used for 2nd grade. Thereabouts, if you also were curious about those upper grades, say next year, you get thrown into an upper grade class, you'll have those already ready to go as well. 4 and 5 are really planning templates, planning protocols, and a blank planning template for you to be able to use. And then the big folder up above, the quick images resources, those are already pre-made ready activities that you could plop right in there, whether you're doing this on a Jamboard or if you're doing this on a Google slide. Those are things that you can already have dots and images for you to do. So you have that already ready and prepared, and you could take that away and use that tomorrow in your classroom if you so desire. So this last portion of it is really just whatever questions that you guys have for us. But we try to make it really super quick and to give you guys just some ideas, but we will stay on for a few minutes if you have any questions or need any help with any of the strategies that we presented today. And we hope you join us for the one on Thursday. If not, they will go up on the playlist, so you guys can check it out there.
No, thank you. This was really nice. I like that they're short, but you guys target specific skills, so that was nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.